Hi, Virgo. Uh, we need to talk about this person um, because what's coming through around this connection is not subtle, not quiet, not the kind of energy that leaves room for misinterpretation. This is decided energy, locked in energy. Mm, the kind that doesn't waver because it was never uncertain to begin with. They're not going anywhere. Uh, Let that land before we go further. Um, Not cooling off, not reconsidering, not doing the mental math of whether this is worth the effort and landing on maybe. Staying, choosing, deciding repeatedly, quietly, without needing applause for it, that you are the one, not just the one in the abstract sense, in the specific sense, the particular sense that I see exactly who this person is and I want to be the one who takes care of her sense. That's a different energy than general attraction. Um, that's a different energy than even love in its early stages. That's something more specific, more deliberate, more settled. And you might be feeling it even through whatever distance or complication or uncertainty has been sitting between you. That specific warmth, that specific quality of attention, um, the way they show up, that feels less like effort and more like instinct. Like taking care of you isn't something they're trying to do, it's something they can't help doing. That's not performance. Performance gets tired. Performance needs an audience. Performance fades when the reward stops coming. Uh, what this person might be carrying toward you, um, that's something that runs underneath performance, something that shows up in the small moments nobody choreographs, the checking in, the remembering, the specific way they soften around you that they don't soften around everyone. Let's talk about what this actually means. Because the baby girl dynamic, and I want to be precise about this because it gets misread constantly, is not about weakness, not about dependency, not about someone who needs to be managed or handled or saved. It's about being chosen for softness, being chosen as the person someone wants to protect, not because you can't protect yourself, um, but because they want to be the one who stands between you and anything that would cost you your peace. That's a choice, a deliberate, eyes open choice that says, with me, you don't have to be everything all the time. With me, you get to rest. Uh, and for someone who has been strong for a long time, who has been capable and independent and holding things together with quiet competence, being seen that way, being wanted in that softness, um, that lands differently than any other kind of being wanted because it's not wanting what you can do. Um, it's wanting who you are when you're not doing anything at all. And this person sees that. The version of you that exists underneath the capability, underneath the composure, underneath the held together exterior that the world mostly gets. They see the softer version, the more unguarded version. And they're obsessed with her, not with fixing her, not with having access to her as a privilege they've earned, just with being near her, with being someone she trusts enough to let out. That's a specific kind of love. And it's possibly rarer than you've been giving it credit for. This reflection invites you to consider, when was the last time you actually let yourself be soft with someone? Not strategically soft, not soft as a move, actually genuinely, unguardedly soft, uh, in the way that requires trusting that the person receiving it won't use it against you. Because the version of you this person is obsessed with, she requires that kind of trust to appear. And part of what might be shifting in this connection is that trust becoming possible. Now let's talk about the won't back down piece, because that's specific. That's not passive adoration. That's someone who has encountered resistance, maybe from you, maybe from circumstance, maybe from timing, maybe from their own internal process, and decided that none of it is sufficient reason to stop. Uh, won't back down means they've already faced the thing that was supposed to make them leave. The complication, the distance, the moment where the easy choice was to pull back and the hard choice was to stay present. And they stayed present, not dramatically, not with a speech about how committed they are, just kept showing up, kept choosing, kept being the person who didn't disappear when disappearing would have been easier. That's the data right there. Uh, Not what they've said, what they've done when doing the right thing cost them something. Because anyone can show up when showing up is convenient. Uh, the ones who show up when it isn't, those are the ones worth paying attention to. And this person has been showing up, uh, possibly in ways you've been undervaluing, possibly in ways you've been filing under, well, that's just who they are. That doesn't mean anything specific. When actually it means everything specific. Um, because who someone is consistently in the direction of you, that's not coincidence, that's intention. Let's talk about why they won't back down. Uh, because understanding the why, not just accepting the fact, is what helps you receive it correctly without minimizing it, without inflating it into something unsustainable. Just clearly, accurately, as the real thing it might actually be. Uh, People don't back down from connections that feel ordinary. They back down from those constantly when it gets complicated, when the reward feels insufficient, when something shinier appears on the periphery. Ordinary connections are easy to leave because leaving doesn't cost much. Nothing essential is lost. But when someone encounters a connection that feels necessary, um, not convenient, not comfortable, not strategically advantageous, but necessary in the specific way of something your life would be measurably less without, backing down stops being a real option. Not because they're being stubborn, not because they're refusing to take a hint, because something in them recognizes that what they'd be walking away from isn't replaceable. Uh, and you, uh, the specific, particular, irreplaceable you, are apparently that for this person. Not a placeholder, not a phase, uh, the thing their life would be measurably less without. Now, and this is important, let's talk about you in this. Because someone being obsessed with you, someone refusing to back down, um, that's only beautiful if you actually want to be chosen by them. Persistence without welcome isn't romantic, it's pressure. And the distinction matters. So let's be honest. Um, do you want this? Not, do you think you should want it? Not, do you appreciate the gesture of it? Mm. Do you actually, in your body, in the quiet of your own honest experience, want to be this person's person? Want to be the one they take care of? Want to be the softness they come home to? Because if yes, then the work is receiving, which for someone used to being strong, used to being capable, used to being the one who holds things together, is genuinely harder than it sounds. Receiving requires vulnerability, requires letting someone see you need something, requires trusting that being cared for doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, and they're not falling for your strength. Um, they're falling for your humanity. This reflection invites you to consider, what does being taken care of actually feel like in your body? Not what you think it should feel like. What it actually feels like when someone shows up for you in a way that's real. Is it comfortable? Um, or does some part of you immediately start looking for the catch? Start wondering what they want in return. Start preparing for the moment the care becomes conditional. Because that reflex, if it's there, is worth looking at directly. Um, because that reflex isn't about them. It's about every time before them when care came with a hidden invoice, when someone's warmth turned out to be a setup for something you didn't consent to, when being soft with someone cost you something you couldn't afford to lose. Um, and if that's in your history, it makes complete sense that being chosen this specifically, this persistently, um, would activate some version of, but why though? What's the catch? What am I not seeing? That's not paranoia. That's a nervous system that learned to protect itself. But here's the question worth sitting with. Um, is that protection still accurate? Or is it running a program that was written for a different situation, a different person, a different version of your life, and applying it here where it might not fit? Because this person, uh, the one who won't back down, the one who keeps showing up, the one who sees the soft version of you and moves toward her rather than away, might not be running that old program, might actually just want you. Um, Cleanly, without the hidden invoice, without the setup, just you as you are in your softness and your strength and everything in between. and learning to tell the difference between care that comes with conditions and care that simply comes, that might be the most important work available to you in this season. Um, Not for them, for yourself. So that when something real arrives, you can recognize it, receive it, let it actually land instead of deflecting it before it gets close enough to matter. Here's what's practically available to you right now. Not grand gestures, not declarations, small things. Let them do the thing they're trying to do. When they reach, let the reach land before you redirect it. When they offer, receive the offer before you minimize it. When they show up, actually register it instead of filing it under expected behavior that doesn't require acknowledgement. Uh, because people who care, who genuinely, persistently care, need their caring to land somewhere, need to feel that what they're giving is being received, not performed back at them, actually received into an actual person who is actually present for it. And you being present for it, um, genuinely, unguardedly present, is possibly the most powerful thing you can offer in return. Not a grand gesture, not proof that you care equally, just presence, just being actually there when they show up. That's what they're after. That's the thing they won't back down from trying to reach. Uh, your presence, your real one, the one that exists when you're not managing the interaction, when you're not monitoring how much of yourself to reveal, when you're just there in the room, in the moment, actually with them. That version of you, um, they're not going to stop trying to get to. Um, Not because they're stubborn, because they've caught enough glimpses to know she's worth it. Worth the patience, worth the persistence, worth showing up even when the response is guarded, uh, worth not backing down. This reflection invites you to consider, what would it feel like to just let this be simple? Not easy, simple. To let someone want you without making them prove it 17 more times before you believe it. Uh, to let being chosen feel like what it is, something good, something real, something that doesn't need to be interrogated before it's allowed to exist. What would you have to put down to let it be that simple? And are you ready to put it down? Because they're ready. They've been ready. Um, they made a decision about you, and that decision doesn't appear to be up for revision. Not today. Not because of complexity or distance or whatever has been sitting between you. Um, they've looked at all of it and decided still yes. Still you. Um, Always you. The power is yours. It always has been. Let yourself be loved in the specific way this person wants to love you. Um, not because you owe them your softness, but because you deserve to find out what it feels like when someone who sees all of you decides that all of you is exactly what they want. Uh, that's not a small thing. Don't treat it like one. Take what resonates, softly release the rest, trust yourself. That's it for today. Go let somebody love you right, um, for real this time. You've earned it. Catch you on the next one.